Hello, everyone, and welcome to Guardicore's 20-Minute Tuesdays. We're so pleased that you chose to spend your time with us today. We'll make sure to make it worth your while. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and all attendees are in listen-only mode. However, if you have a question, please pop it in the chat, and we'll answer it at the end. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Sean Finn, our Solutions Architect. Take it away, Sean.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the introduction, and thank you, everybody, for attending today's session. Like Rebecca mentioned, we're going to cover Zero Trust. We're going to show you a Guardicore demo on it. Before we do, though, I just want to take a minute and talk about Zero Trust. Zero Trust was introduced back in 2010 and defined by Forrester as a focus on addressing lateral movement within a network by using both micro-segmentation of the network and granular enforcement. Zero Trust takes the assumption that every user, device, system, or connection on your network is already potentially compromised. With this being said, Forrester has identified 5 key steps to a Zero Trust architecture. The first is helping you identify your sensitive data within your network. The second is visualizing the flows of that sensitive data. The third is then architecting perimeters for your Zero Trust environment. The fourth is continuously monitoring your environment with security analytics. And then the fifth is embracing security automation and orchestration. What we're going to show you in this demonstration is how Guardicore can help you with these 5 steps. In this upcoming demo, we're going to show you how you can leverage Guardicore to achieve these. We're going to show you how you can quickly visualize those sensitive workloads and how you can classify them. We're also going to show you how we automatically map the flows and dependencies between those workloads. In addition, we're going to show you how we can leverage our policy engine and a couple clicks, our policy wizard, to create segmentation policies. We're also going to show you how you can use our real-time monitoring and Guardicore threat detection to identify security incidents and integrate them with your SIEM. And then last, we're going to show you how you can orchestrate Guardicore with our REST APIs and integrations. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move to the demonstration and we'll discuss the first 3 steps. Guardicore believes that you can't secure and segment what you can't see. So with that being said, one of the key first things is helping you visualize all of the communication from all of the assets, what you refer to as operating systems in your environment. So what you can see here is that we quickly help you see every asset that's communicating to every other asset in your environment, as well as outbound to the internet and other systems that may not have a Guardicore host-based firewall on them. What you can do from this view is you can then quickly filter and look at your specific application and understand how is that application talking to other systems in your environment. In this instance here in my environment, you can see that I have a billing front-end load balancer, and you can quickly see that it's communicating with our Guardicore internal infrastructure, as well as my billing web servers, laptops for my end users, jump boxes, my e-commerce website, and additional jump boxes. What we also give you the capability to quickly visualize is communication that might be going outbound to the internet. And the way we do that is we can actually show you the source and destination IP, as well as the destination domain, so that you can set policies in place later on to limit what websites those systems go to. If this is server infrastructure and your Zero Trust architecture, you don't want this going outbound to the internet, you can use Guardicore to point this to an intranet website instead. What Guardicore also allows you to do is pull in what we refer to as context about an asset. And what that is additional information, so it doesn't just look like an IP address or a host name on the screen. With our integrations with VMware, AWS, Azure, GCP, and Kubernetes, we can pull in additional information for you. So specifically for public cloud, you can understand where that virtual machine is running. Or if it's on-premise and it's in your VMware environment, you can determine which vCenter it's running in, even which host it's running on. What we do with this information is we then help you when you're ready to start classifying those assets, those operating systems that you have Guardicore's host-based firewall on. And we do that by a mechanism we call labeling. Labeling is essentially putting key value pairs on each one of these. You can have unlimited pairs in your environment based on your needs. A couple key things to understand with our labeling is the fact that any one of those platforms I mentioned before, our integration allows you to pull in metadata from those so that you don't have to start from scratch with your labeling. So you can pull in things like the vCenter, the AWS region, the Azure region, as well as security information from those systems. Will automatically put labels on them to help you build additional context for those assets. In addition, if you have a CMDB like a ServiceNow, we can pull in information from that from your asset management. We also have the capability to pull in with our REST API if your asset information is held in static files like a CSV. And then last, our labeling technology allows you to implement dynamic labeling. If you want to put labeling in place based on the way your applications are named, for instance, in this case, maybe they all start with the word billing, you can create a dynamic label that would say something along the lines of billing asterisks. And what that would do is as those systems come online with a Guardicore host-based firewall on them, we would immediately apply that label for you. In addition, if for instance, your billing system took up an entire subnet, maybe it's running on the 192.168.1 subnet, you could apply a dynamic label to that entire network if you wanted to. And any system that we saw on that network that had a Guardicore host-based agent on it, we would automatically apply that label to. Once you have the labeling in place, you can start to see the flexibility of what we can do, how we can help you visualize and start to segment your environment. And what we can start to do is start at a macro level. We can help you start splitting out workloads that are production-based, that are test-based and development-based, because realistically, most of those systems shouldn't be able to communicate with each other. We can also help you see and group common services, those core applications that you have in your environment that everything needs to talk to, your Active Directory, your DNS, your DHCP type systems. So once you start to separate things using our labeling at a macro level, you can start to dive in and start to actually see everything at an application level. So you can start to see how that billing application is communicating with a CRM or with an org portal, as well as outbound to the internet. This is where you can start to put those micro perimeters that Forrester talked about in place. You can start to do what Guardicore calls application ring fencing. You can create a segment that basically says everything in my billing application should be able to communicate with everything else in this billing application with this app billing role. Everything outside of that, though, that's trying to communicate in, let's start taking a look at, see if we should block that communication. We give you the capability, though, to go even further than that. You can actually start looking at the roles within your application. In this instance, it's a 3-tier application. Has a front-end load balancer that's communicating with a web server that then communicating with a database application for the backend. What you can do, though, is you can dive in, and with Guardicore, you can actually see the individual operating systems that are communicating with each other. But you can take that even a step further. You can actually start to see the individual processes that are communicating with each other. So in this instance, it's not just showing you that my web server is talking to my database server. You can actually see the web application and the specific service on the database server it's talking to. So if you're looking to really get to that micro segmentation level with your zero trust framework, this is where you can start to do that. You can start to segment things by source process to destination. Now that we've shown you how we can help you quickly visualize and organize your environment, let's talk about how we can actually help you put policy in place to enforce the segmentation. So with Guardicore's policy engine, you have a couple of options here. We give you the ability, based on our management platform and the machine learning it's doing, to see the traffic that's going on in the environment and make recommendations for you as baselines to start from. We also give you the capability, we have templates that you can start with, Active Directory, DHCP, NT, DNS, things along those lines. We look at the manufacturer recommendations and we'll build a policy based on that. So if you're not sure specifically how your Active Directory should be communicating over what ports and protocols, we can help you with starting point. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to look at this zero trust application template we have here. I'm going to select that same billing application that we've been talking about. And we also give you the flexibility. In the beginning, I mentioned that you can start splitting things out at an environment level. You can have a production, a test, a development environment. What you can do is you may have 3 sets of the same application, but you don't want to put the same policy in all of them. We give you the granularity at that macro level to pick the environment that you want to segment. So in this instance, I'm going to apply this policy to my production environment. I'm also going to include the process level as well. What this is going to do is on the left-hand side, it's going to build the firewall rules for you based on the communication our management platform has seen going on in the environment. On the right-hand side, what you'll quickly see is an individual map for that billing application and us visualizing the rules for you based on that communication we've seen. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, we have all the rules with the TCP ports and protocols. And then at the bottom, we have recommendations to block anything else to help you with that zero trust recommendation. In addition to that, if you need to get more granular than just the process, we can pull in identity-based rules. What that means is, for instance, I have this end device laptop communicating with my billing application. And right now I have a rule specifically for Chrome. What we can do is we can actually pull in with our Active Directory integration, just those billing users. So now with our identity-based rules on those endpoint laptops, only the billing users and your billing Active Directory group can actually connect via Chrome to that billing system. So you can start to get more granular than just the process, and you can actually get down to that user and process identity level. Now, what I want to do is switch back over to this slide real quick. Those were steps 1, 2, and 3. We just showed you how we could quickly help you identify your sensitive data. We showed you how we can help you map the data and how the applications communicate with each other, and then how you could start architecting those zero trust micro perimeters. What I want to show you now is how we can do real-time monitoring and analysis, and then talk about our REST APIs and orchestration. So I'll bring the environment back up, and as you can see here, once we start putting those policies in place and there's traffic that's communicating and things start to get blocked, we record what we call incidents. And each one of these shows you the connection that occurred, as well as the source and destination, and includes the policy itself that enforced that block, allow, or alert. We also give you a quick visualization so you can see what applications we're trying to talk to each other. And we allow you to consume this in multiple fashions. You have the ability to take this incident as a PDF, as a printable version, or if you have a SIM or a syslog server, or do SMTP, we can forward these notifications to those systems. And then lastly, all of this functionality that you've seen today, we have REST APIs that can automate these processes well. So as you're looking to start orchestrating and automating that microsegmentation, Guardicore can help you with that. Rebecca, I just want to see if we had any questions.
Hi there. Sure, we have a couple, Sean. Just one second. Let's go through them. Here's one. What advantages does Guardicore's host-based firewall provide to users looking to implement zero trust?
So that's a great question. And the answer to that is that we give you the flexibility all the way up to the application layer, whether it's a Windows-based system, a Linux-based system, whether it's running in VMware or public cloud like Azure, AWS, or whether it's Kubernetes-based. We give you that same application and process level view across all of those platforms.
Great. Another question came in. Can incidents, be forwarded to other systems for review?
Yes, they can. So we have the capability to forward them to a SIM solution, a syslog server, or SMTP, or we can even send them to Slack if you'd like.
Fantastic. It looks is the end of our questions. Anything else you want to add, Sean, before we leave?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, great. Thank you everyone for attending. And please reach out if you have any questions. We'll also be reaching out to you directly if you did have questions, or maybe if you want a more in-depth demo. Have a great day.